You ready?
I am, yes, sir.
Fantastic. Hello. Welcome to Bear Camp. I am joined today by our guest and someone I consider a good friend, Mr. Stu Garrett, of no relation that we know of yet. I haven't connected the dots, but I think eventually we'll get there. But Stu has been coming out here to Wilderness Mule Bear Camp for how long
This is
now?
my fourth season.
Fourth season. Fantastic. Now, so Stu, let's dive in. I like to get to know people. I've had the pleasure over the last 3 years of getting to know you. I know a bit of your story and how you've gotten to be where you are today. Uh, Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in northeast Oklahoma in a small town called Nowata. My parents had ties to Fayetteville, Arkansas, so a lot of Arkansas, Oklahoma connections. Just a small town north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was very, very small. I was very, very fortunate to get to go see the world with a great career. But I still enjoy going back to my farm in Oklahoma.
That's fantastic. So you still have property in Oklahoma.
I do. I inherited the family farm there. My older brother helps me take care of it. A lot of whitetail hunting there. My parents had 13 grandchildren. 5 of those are deer hunters, so I let them have access. They can't come out to Idaho and go bear hunting, so I let them have access to the whitetail on that farm.
And so, tell me a little bit about your career and just kind of like broad strokes. What is your career path? What have you done?
Sure. As an industrial engineer from the University of Arkansas, I've been through 3 major career changes, totally wholesale. The next was in electric utilities, and then my third now is in aviation. I work.
So you're helping to design the computer systems that make things work a little bit easier when I get to the airport.
Will make it work at all. It's got networks, wireless, cellular, the radio systems, digital signage, the things that give you your bag tag and your boarding pass, the baggage systems, all of the systems on the ramp, security systems, all of that goes into a bundle. And if it doesn't work, if you travel to an airport and you can't get a cellular signal or a wireless signal or you can't board your flight, I might be the reason, but then again, I might not
Well,
be the reason.
next time I get a little bit of late, I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to get you a Stu. Hey, what do we got going on? So that's very different than trucking, but it's similar logistically, and that's what your degree is in.
Industrial
Okay.
engineering. Yeah, they IEs, the acronym IE, uh, always works on improving process. So whether you are analyzing the processes of how trucks move cargo or how electric utilities um, manage load and all of the systems it takes to run a power plant, or how airports move people and bags. It's all about analyzing process, being a big picture thinker. I think of systems. I'm a systems engineer. Look at the big picture. Some people uh, tend to bet better towards very narrow fields of study, but they go really, really deep. So I describe it as 1 inch wide and 3 miles deep. I'm a generalist, not a specialist. I cover a lot of different topics, just very shallow. So I cover a lot of different things. So I'm a 3 miles wide, 1 inch deep kind of guy.
All right. Okay. And did you choose that career path? Is that was just like what something that came to you? You felt it?
My father is a mathematician, was a mathematician. He had 18 hours towards his industrial engineering PhD when he had to stop studying for a family emergency. He nudged me towards industrial engineering. I didn't really understand what it was. I used to do a lot of different things. But today I mostly make a living in technology. You can make a great career. Back when I was in high school, the PCs were just taking off. Mobile phones hadn't been invented. The World Wide Web was still in the military's secret warehouse. So it's a very different world, and I'm fortunate.
That's awesome. I love that. And now you live in this kind of you work in a career that is tech driven, and then you spend a lot of time traveling, but you also spend a lot of time outdoors. What was it? What has been your calling to the outdoors? What has been the thing that kind of drives you there?
Appreciate the question. I'm actually what I would consider a late bloomer. I grew up on a farm. I knew how to drive a tractor. I knew how to work in a garden. I knew how to split firewood and swing an axe. So that part didn't wasn't new to me. Um, I didn't start camping until my son became a Boy Scout. I actually learned a lot about camping courtesy of the Boy Scouts
Really?
as a volunteer with the Boy Scouts of America. So he and I learned how to pitch a tent together. I taught him how to build a fire, how to, and navigational skills and knives and tools, all it takes to make a great campsite. But I didn't buy a modern rifle until I was 54 years old. 8 years ago. Prior to that, I still have a lever action Winchester Model 90 30. I killed a deer in high school, a whitetail deer, not a mule deer, a whitetail deer in college. Then I didn't hunt until for decades.
Wow.
Life and family and work. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you realize I haven't been out west. I haven't tried big game hunting out west. I had read magazine articles as a little boy in Outdoor Life and Field and Stream about bear hunts in Wisconsin, and the Jim Carmichael, the great Outdoor Life hunting editor, wrote a fabulous series on Africa when I was a little boy, and that stuck with me. I wanted to get back there someday, get into that, and just the turning point was in 2017, and decided it was time to try. I didn't understand the point system. Had I known the point system, I would have been buying points 30 years earlier.
Right.
When I realized I didn't have points to draw those coveted elk tags in Arizona or those bighorn sheep tags in Montana, I read another article that said, oh, you can go spring bear hunting in some states with just an over-the-counter tag. And so I began researching, and sure enough, Montana, Idaho, places like that have fabulous spring activities. And it gets you out of the regular, well, it gets me out of the Dallas heat to start
Yeah.
with in June, but it gets you out, it lets you go hunting at times other than the traditional August, September, October, November, fall season. So it's a fabulous break from the rest of life to get to go bear hunting, enjoy tremendous wilderness like this, see bears, hunt bear, meet friends like yourself, and generally get away. I make a living lining up ones and zeros. In the technology world, it's digital. It's a one or a zero. So I line those ones and zeros in perfect harmony, and things should work. My counterbalance to that is very analog. I pick up a film camera. I go take a hike. I don't get a lot of physical activity when I'm designing computer systems for airports. So the counterbalance personality is go do something physical. That it comes with a little bit of adventure or a little bit of stressing oneself to try new things. I'm comfortable with that. I'm becoming comfortable with it. I still don't think I have the navigational skills to take off in a wilderness like we're surrounded by here in Idaho. I don't think I have the navigational skills to take off and survive 7 days on my own. I certainly wouldn't be as skillful at hunting, and preparing wild game as it. So I'm not a do-it-yourselfer. I guess that's probably the shorter answer
Right.
to this scenario. I'm very much a fan of hiring a guide and an outfitter, and I don't have 30 years to learn it. If I was 25 and I had a life in front of me and plenty of time to go explore, and I wasn't worried about time, I might go try to do it yourself and learn on my own. But time is my enemy.
See, the more that you and I have talked over the last 3 years, the persona that you're talking about right now is not the person that I think. I think you would do just fine out here. I think you would figure yourself out, and I think you would get settled. I think you would be just fine on your own. But I appreciate that about the perspective of time and kind of expediting that and finding people that know exactly what's going on that can help you kind of figure it out. But that's an interesting thing to look at too, is the personality side. Is like your career is, like as you said, ones and zeros, and then you turn around and it's very textile, it's very manual. You want to have your hands on stuff. The days that you're here, I see you spend today going out for a hike just to go look at some stuff and see nature and see what's out there. That's phenomenal. And that's not the average person's perspective or mental decision making. And so it's one of the things that I like about being out here and being around men like yourself is I get to see that. It reminds me that that's what I need to do as well.
The wilderness gives you the opportunities. This is Northern National Forest, federally owned land. It's the public owns it. We should take advantage of it.
Yeah.
That we have to get if you can get in here, it's not easy. But this is not. This is just one of many places that I would love to go explore more. Time just becomes the enemy of all.
Right. And now you also mentioned that last statement, photography. So that's also something that I know about you is you take wonderful photographs.
Thank you.
I follow your Instagram page that is dedicated to that craft, and it's interesting. What is it that you do specifically? Explain your craft with photography.
Well, I have a couple different angles. I love to photograph coffee shops. I love to drink coffee. I did not grow up drinking coffee. My parents drank very little. I've learned to drink coffee, and I've become um, fiendish about seeking out good coffee, especially in the wilderness. So I love to photograph coffee shops because they're all different. If they're not a corporate brand, if they're a locally owned chain or locally owned storefront, locally owned storefronts have opportunity to try new roasts and new beans of origin. And of course, you meet the locals. You They might have some pastries you try out or some baked goods. Um, the architecture, the interior lighting, I study all of that. But mostly, I just start clicking. I always ask permission. I think it's the polite thing to do. Some people might not prefer the publicity or the glare of the lens.
Right.
I try to be quiet and unassuming about it. But I love to photograph. Um, I, I I'm a digital shooter. I shoot a fantastic Fujifilm X-T5 camera, but I'm equally as passionate about film photography. It's not a dying art. It's has enjoyed a resurgence since the pandemic.
Right. And so where do you get your film developed? I mean, how do you get film developed anymore? Because I mean, everything I know about photography is on my phone. I just take a picture and it's there, and then I can print it from Costco's website.
Well, when I was a little boy, we went to Walgreens or Walmart or the local five and dime store, handed them the 35 millimeter canister and got it back in a few days. I used a mail order lab in California. They do a great job. They scan the negatives for me, and I can download those from their website. So I've got well, there's a mule deer doe right there. Sorry, squirrel. We're in the wild.
Yeah, we're in the wild.
Just that little mule deer doe.
That's too cute.
So it's actually very convenient. They zip up mailers. You put it in the mail. It comes back in a few days. You download the negatives, and you can work your magic there with Photoshop or Lightroom or your favorite editing tool. And if you want something printed, then you can run it just like you said through a Costco or similar printing service. But it's not impossible. It's just not as drugstore convenient as it once was when I was a little boy.
Right. When I was in the Army, it was the beginning, the early, the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was the disposable cameras. And I would just, I remember just buying the heck out of those things. And you just drop them off at Long's, and then that was it, and
they're surprisingly fun. And they are very, very well, they're easy. You just push the button.
Right.
If you want to advance your craft a little bit more control, then you begin looking for a film camera that has the controls necessary that allow you to pick the aperture or the shutter speed or set the ISO or manipulate any of those exposure compensation controls. Anything that allows you to take take away the automation of it and give you more control. But that's not mandatory. You can take great photos with point and shoot all day long. You can put a film camera on pure auto mode and get some great photos. The controls come in very helpful if you're in unique lighting situations or you want to have certain kinds of dramatic effect or stop motion or things of that nature. But there have been many photography contests won by people shooting a Nikon or a Canon or Minolta plain vanilla 50 millimeter camera from the 1970s. I scavenge eBay for great film cameras, and you'd be shocked at the prices that they're commanding today because people have realized this resurgence, counterbalancing a digital era. Everything is digital,
right?
And there's a pent up demand for a counterbalance.
Yeah, and there's got to be a nice. I mean, for me, doing things like coming out here, obviously we're out here. We do have the internet out here. We have Starlink, which is nice. I have propane gas to cook with.
Don't tell my family we've got that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We don't have
Yeah,
any.
we have
We don't have
no
any internet.
connectivity out here.
We have no
No.
connectivity. This is all being uploaded from somewhere else. I'm
That's
recording
exactly.
this on my iPhone, but yeah, I do have propane. We do have wall tents. Yeah, we have nice things here.
Sure.
But there's a disconnect that it, allows for getting out of the concrete jungles of cities. And I think that it's something that we don't do enough of as humans anymore, as a whole. Uh, it's few and far between to find someone like yourself or myself who seeks that outside. And I think that with film, that's another great example that I hadn't thought about before. It's something that is very manual. You have to do it with your hands. It's very technical. You have to understand it. There's a lot going on that, so much more than just pointing and clicking, with the phone. And I think that, again, that's something we take advantage of, right?
It's you slow down.
Yeah.
You can click on the automatic shutter of a film camera, but I like slowing down, thinking. I see better, Andrew. I see better light. I see better shape. I see better composition. I see better when I stop and slow down. Sometimes that's not possible. You're chasing children around the playground and you want some photos, you go as fast as you can. But in a natural environment like this, I'm looking and stopping. And sometimes when you look at a scene in front of you, it looks they have a certain visualization of it. You hike another 100 yards and look back from where you came, and the visualization is very, very, very different. So I look forward and I look back. This idea of disconnecting, I'll give you another great example of how I am atypical in that respect. When I fly, and I fly several days a week, all year round, when I fly, I don't open my phone, I shut it off. I don't open my laptop, I shut it off. I don't watch movies or TV or look at my phone or look at my laptop. I use that time. That time is precious to me to disconnect from things that are constantly bombarding me. And it's the same when I choose my wilderness activities. I intentionally pick places where I can force myself to say, no, we're not going to check work email today. I'm on vacation. I'm in the wilderness. I'm serious about bear hunting. We're going to not think about work. When I go back to work, I'm fully vested in work. Well, I mean, I still think about hunting. Okay. But when I'm not thinking about hunting, I'm fully vested in performing my job. And so it's an on-off switch for me. I go all in, work. I go all in, no work.
That's fantastic, though. What are, aside from out here with us, where else have you been hunting? Where else have you spent time in the West?
Great question. I love it. My first bear hunt was a spot and stalk in Montana. Unsuccessful, but I learned a lot. My first mule deer hunt in Nevada, Elko County, the Ruby Mountains, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
It's on my list.
I missed a wall hanger mule deer in the Ruby Mountains, and I will hope again someday to draw a tag. I shot a nice mule deer in Utah in October 2022. Shot my Wyoming elk in 2022 also. That was a tough hunt. I don't think I'll ever elk hunt again.
Tell me about that hunt, because I know this story, but I would love to share this story because I think it's a good one.
Well,
what was that like for you?
It was physically, well, I'll back up and slow down. I won't compare it to the physicality of what you did and others do in the military. But for me, at my age and my physical conditioning, it was a very, very, very difficult hunt. 8.5 hours into the wilderness on horseback, a day to get to your camp, your base camp, 6 days of hunting on horses up and down mountains and seeing grizzly every day, hearing wolves every night, and then a day out, 19 miles, physically a brutal hunt, cold. You're riding in the dark in the mornings, you're riding at dark at night. I got a fantastic elk in the thoroughfare wilderness of Wyoming, but that's it. Elk hunting is for the younger.
So one of the things that I think is really, in today's hunting world, there's this really strange illusion that if you hire a guide, you're going on an easy hunt. That's going to be this really simple experience. I think that the overall perception from the public is if you hire an outfitter or a guide, you show up, they go say, oh, you can shoot that one. You sit down, you shoot it, and then
Right.
you walk back to the lodge and you take a warm shower. Like that's not the actual experience.
It is
here.
not, and I will tell you, this was a pet. This is a. I'm glad you mentioned this. This is an enormous pet peeve for me, and actually a concern. I see so much content on social media, hunters taking barbs at each other. When someone posts a picture of a fantastic trophy, uh, and one of the first questions from the audience might be, was it on private land or public? Was it do it yourself or did you hire a guide? And it somehow a 320-inch elk is devalued if it was on private land, or devalued if the hunter used a guide or an outfitter. I don't find that the case at all. Uh, that hunt was brutal. Whether um, I didn't have the, it is true, I didn't have the skills to go into the wilderness and find that elk. I didn't have the gear to find that. I didn't have the horses or the gear to find that elk. So um, I don't like that hunters, we get enough pressure from other sources um, wanting to cut back on our heritage and our rights. I don't like hunters taking cracks at guided hunts or even private land hunts. I don't find them. I don't find them. Obviously, of course I'm assuming that the situation is ethical, and but even that is entering realms now where people debate how ethical is 1,000-yard shot on a mule deer or an elk. Um, so I don't get into that debate because I don't have the skill to shoot 1,000 yards anyway. So it's not really a debate for me. But I think hunters need to do a better job of recognizing that we're in this together, and there's a bigger war waging to take away our rights and privileges.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too. Is I'm right there with you. I think that it's it's kind of silly in my opinion that we have this devaluing of anything, right? So I'm fortunate enough to have access to hunt on private property out here in Idaho, in one of the units. I have had the chance to go get a tag 3 years, and not once in those 3 years have I harvested an animal. Even though I had access to 2,500 acres of private, nobody else hunting it, it's still a very difficult
Not
task.
easy. No,
There's nothing easy about it, and it cracks me up when people talk about oh well, he was on private, he was on public. But no, it's still a lot of work to get in and to do it.
Well, there's bias even with your choice of weapon. I know you're an archer, so it's funny. I laugh when social media battles break out and someone declares, "Oh my, I shot a elk at 1,085 yards," and then someone says, well, "That's not ethical." Then someone else pipes in and says, "Well, yeah, if you were a real hunter, you'd use an arrow, bow and arrow, and get within 40 yards." So I don't shoot a bow. I don't have time to learn a new hobby, a new expensive hobby, and I know I would not want to do it if I weren't capable of practicing and being good at it.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's just harder. If I've got a narrowing window of time to go hunt, I'm trying to do the best to maximize my opportunities.
Yeah.
And so it's just not a skill I have right now.
Oh, I love it. It's good to hear other people have the same kind of feeling and uh, emotions around that. And it's also again hearing that it's not just showing up, picking an animal, that's the one, shoot it. That's not what it is. And it's an adventure, and I think that people don't understand what a cool adventure hunting in the West really is. And I think there's a subset of people that really know, and they are out there and they are getting after it. And then there's that other group that's like, oh, that just sounds so easy. It's too easy.
Well, I can tell you that from my experience, having done it for just a few years, it's hunting Midwest or East versus out West is very, very different. And intellectually, you can read, and academically, you can understand that. Intellectually, you can understand that. But until you experience it, it's very difficult to explain to someone who hasn't done it yet what it's like to hike up to 8,000 feet elevation or greater. If you're a landlocked Texas resident, at sea level, and now you're asking me to carry my pack and my rifle, up 8,000 feet, and I'm puffing and puffing, and there's no oxygen, and my legs are screaming, and my lungs are screaming, and you're saying, get down, get ready to shoot. Here it comes, here it comes. And it's not 80 yards away, like in a hardwood creek bottom shooting whitetail in Oklahoma. It's 600 yards away, and you're doing that when it's cold. And so it's a very, very different experience. And I think I could have read books another 5 years. I could have watched YouTube videos. And by the way, YouTube makes everything look easy. I could have watched YouTube videos and still probably have made some mistakes when I got to the field. So, in looking back, I'm glad that I just dove in, and that's what I would encourage somebody to do. Just get out and go see it. If nothing else, if you have aspirations and dreams of a big mule deer or an elk or a moose out west, go take a spring bear hunt, and so you can just see the place. Now at least I can say I've seen Fayette National Forest, and I know what mountains look like, and I know what it feels like to go uphill and breathe at 7,000 or 8,000 feet elevation. And I know now what they talk about when riders say you might be shooting across a canyon, or you might be shooting uphill, but might be shooting downhill. All of those things are very difficult to simulate. But at least now in a spring bear hunt, I've seen those things. So if I were to come back in the fall and hunt, it wouldn't be a total shock to my sensory systems.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I like that. What has been your favorite hunt that you've done so far? I mean, from the beginning of the first time you shot a whitetail in high school to college, what's been your favorite experience so far?
Well, I'll separate Africa from North America. Africa is phenomenal.
That's fair. Okay.
In the four hunts in South Africa with Sean Keeney, the first of which I went with a high school classmate of mine. We grew up from fourth grade on. Fantastic, and he's an archer, by the way, an archer in San Antonio, Texas. But I love Africa, all about Africa. It is a very different experience than big game hunting out west. But I bear hunt northern Alberta 3 straight years. That's a fantastic hunt with Alberta Apex Outfitters. They're just tremendous. It is a different style hunt. It's bait, but it's a different style because of the terrain, the topography, the weather, the conditions.
It's flatter up there, yeah?
Yeah, very much so, right. Yes. So not as stressful in terms of hiking tall mountains. Stressful when a big bear shows up, because that's just the nature of bear hunting. But I love hunting with Caleb and Wilderness Mule Outfitting. Caleb's got a great camp here. But notwithstanding the comfortable beds or the phenomenal food or the camaraderie or the scenery, if there weren't bears here, I wouldn't come back. There are bears here.
Yeah.
There are nice big bears. My goal is to always shoot a big mature boar. And in terms of experiences, I learned a lot 2 years ago. Caleb put me on a fantastic bait, and he told me there are 2 bears coming in here. You can shoot either one. They're both really good boars. The first one came in, and it was gorgeous, a gorgeous color phase, chocolatey, red, but it was nervous. It was bouncing around, looking around over his shoulder. He'd dive off into the brush and come back a little bit. So my thought was, well, there's a bigger one coming. The big one never came. And so I didn't go home that trip with a bear, but that's okay. I don't have to kill something in order to have fun, to have the experience, to have the adventure. Saw a phenomenal bear. It might still be out there. And it made me want to come back and try again the following year, which was last year. And I did successfully tag last year. This is a fantastic area because you've got a nice mix of color phase. People in Pennsylvania, Carolina, Wisconsin, a few places like that don't have that luxury.
Right.
So it's a fantastic hunt.
That's awesome. You hit on something that also is really important to me as far as my ethics around hunting is, even though you didn't kill something, you aren't out here to kill something. You're out here to participate. You're going out to harvest an animal. It's not just about going out and killing whatever you see. It's about finding something that fits your objective and your goal,
right,
and doing it as ethically as possible. I think a lot of people lose sight of what this really is because they're so focused on, I've got to, if I don't kill something, I don't win. And if I don't win, then I'm not good. And they lose this wonder they don't get to experience this, and I think that, for me, I shot my first elk this year in 7 years of hunting elk. I got my first one, and it's a cow. It's not even the one with the antlers that everybody wants to shoot. It's a cow elk, and it was a hard hunt.
But they are tasty. Oh, they're tasty.
Oh my God, they're so good. And again, on private property, but those other hunts that I've been on, I have gone after elk. I've had the opportunities. I could have made unethical shots. I've had bull elk 10 yards away from me screaming. I have had a bull of a lifetime 9 yards away, quartering away, that I just wasn't prepared to shoot. Because again, with archery, it's like, it's a hard thing, but I look back on those and I learn from it, and I realize what a wonderful experience. I don't beat myself up that I didn't kill it, so I didn't, it wasn't good. That's not what this is about. Like, being out here, being in the wilderness, an outdoorsman, a hunter, it's more than just killing.
I go in my job, but I can come out here and I can sit from 3 p.m. till 10 p.m. in a chair like this, watching a bait, watching wildlife around me, watching squirrels or chipmunks or rabbits or smaller bears that might wander in and out. I can sit there for hours and enjoy all of that and just soak it up. Bear hunting can be very, very quiet, but when it flips, when that big one shows up, that's what you're waiting for. And so you go from 0 to 100. You go from a resting heart rate to suddenly your watch is, you can look at your wristwatch and see your heart rate is pegged out because something is there. You probably didn't hear it come up. You certainly didn't watch it come from hundreds of yards away to that spot. It's just not. It's physically you can't see them that far away. Just with the vegetation this time of year, so it can turn on the dime instantaneously when you least expect it. You might sit down and see one immediately. You might not see one till the last 30 seconds of legal shooting light. So I enjoy all of that start to finish, and it's not about killing. I don't have to. I'm perfectly comfortable going home with an empty tag. With bear, I want a big mature boar.
Yep.
I don't want to shoot an immature boar. I don't want to shoot a sow, and so I've learned from Caleb and others. My friends in Alberta have taught me how to look at a bear, because as a Midwesterner who didn't grow up looking at bears, they all look big to me. But over time, you look at reference points, them versus something else, a rock or a tree. You look for the size of the ears in relation to their head. You look for the snout dimensions. You look for the rump shape, and so it's not about if I don't pull the trigger. If I don't pull the trigger, I'm still very happy if I saw a lot of bears, and if I even didn't see any bears, but I came away with memories and photographs and experiences and knowledge. It's a success.
That's awesome, Stu. Thank you very much for sitting down with me and chatting about your experience. Yeah. I look forward to seeing more of your coffee shop photos. I'm going to put Stu's Instagram in the notes here.
Thank you.
Because I think that what you do is very, very cool. I love the artistic nature of it. You're seeking out these independent brands, these small businesses in small places. Yep. And I think you do a great job highlighting them. Well, I've got some coffee that I'm going to mail you. It's at home. I had it packed. I had it ready because I was going to bring it here, but I got it in Peru, and I've got to send it to you. So we roasted it. I roasted it, and so I'm going to get that down to you. But